Hello, friends. I'm Anderson Marchak,
And I'm Ricardo Segura.
and we are the Panel Bros. Welcome to the panel.
Welcome to the panel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we're in the middle of awards season 2023.
that's right.
And while everyone's trying to talk about awards and nominations, the Golden Globes already happened, the Oscars are coming up. It got me thinking that we've already teased it. And if you've been watching, then you know by now Ricardo and I have an acting background. And I think it's time that we reveal our favorite actors to everybody. So
It's
yeah.
it's gonna be fun. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
this is going
fun.
to be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And these are people that we were really passionate about, people that we
hmm
love seeing, and each person that we decided to choose today has their trajectory of their careers are all different. So it'll be
Yes.
really cool to get into it. So I came up with a couple quote unquote rules, pick one man and one woman. So we're
hmm
not here all day talking about all of our favorite actors
Yeah. I
over and
mean,
over
we,
again.
we we might give you some honorable mentions and people that we
Yeah,
love to watch and whatnot, but we're gonna stick to
exactly.
one male, one female for this one.
Exactly. So we'll start off with the man, and I'll go first. And I I'm just gonna get right to it. It's Christian Bale.
Son, as soon as you were like, "Hey man, we're gonna talk about favorite actors," and I was
Yeah,
like, I knew yours and you knew mine, and that's
correct.
the like we both knew, and I was like, all right, he's gonna go Christian Bale, and I can't wait because Christian Bale's the man.
Yeah, Christian Bale's pretty awesome. So before we even get into it, and I know a lot of people that know me or that have seen this, they're thinking, well, why is he picking Christian Bale? Batman's his favorite superhero. Is that why he's picking Christian Bale? And the answer is no, because while I enjoy him as Batman, particularly as Bruce Wayne, there are just so many other roles in his catalog that whenever he does something, to me, he's just so committed and he's just in it every single time. I first got introduced to him in American Psycho. That was probably his breakout role.
So good.
And it was awesome. And I found him again in Equilibrium. So that was a few years later. And in a way, that was kind of the role that kind of let everybody know, hey, maybe he could make a good Batman.
Mhm. I
So
remember Equilibrium was one of those movies that I still think to this day is extremely underrated.
yeah,
I think that flies under the radar for people, and I think that for anyone who's a fan of Christian Bale, go back and watch Equilibrium if you can.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it was cool when Nolan came calling for the Dark Knight trilogy and to reboot Batman for Batman Begins. He had a few people up for the role.
Mhm.
And I think Guy Pearce was one of them. I know somebody that he had worked with before in Memento. Cillian Murphy, somebody that he continues to work with, he was up for the role, and Christian Bale was up for the role too. There's a few other people, but
Mhm.
Christian Bale got it, and I liked the choice. I always like when we do reboots, if a lot of the leads are like, I don't want to say the word unknown, but they haven't really been introduced to the mainstream yet. And that's what they did with him. And he did a great job in Batman Begins. But around this time, his career just started surging. He was in Harsh Times.
Mhm.
Um, that was great. I want to say, make sure David Ayer. There's a name.
Yep.
And what else? He was in Rescue Dawn. It was a war movie. He was in
Mhm.
Nolan's another Nolan movie, The Prestige. He was in 310 to Yuma. And then in '08, The Dark Knight came. And as we always talk about, changed superhero movies forever. He was in a Terminator movie. He was in Terminator Salvation.
Christian Bale was John Connor.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And we just kept going here. Public Enemies, and then The Fighter happened, and
Yes.
he won an Oscar for The Fighter. It was pretty cool seeing that, and I just see commitment time and time again. Dark Knight Rises. He got another Oscar nomination for American Hustle. He got another Oscar nomination for The Big Short, and then he got his fourth Oscar nomination for Vice, where he played Dick Cheney. So
Yeah.
I was curious about any of the awards that he's won, and I wanted to look that up here.
I wanted to bring this up too before we
Yeah, go
forget, but
for it.
remember when Christian Bale, I could be wrong, but I think the last film he did before Batman Begins was The Machinist, and he went from that
Yes.
extreme weight loss
Right.
to becoming what they said was a bear
Oh
for
yeah.
Batman Begins. He put on so much mass to, first of all, from losing that much weight. I think he was doing something like an apple and coffee a day, something
Right.
ridiculously crazy like that. And then going so big for Batman Begins. And I think that it's a testament to the commitment that you were talking about that Christian Bale has for these roles, where like
Yeah.
he's willing to put his body through this. And it, again, to go from The Machinist to Batman Begins is unbelievable when you have a side by side comparison in
Right.
photographs. Unreal. The dedication that guy has to physically altering his body for these roles, he might be untouched in that category. I don't want to speak out of turn, but he might be.
That's a really cool point that you brought up, because we've seen actors go through body transformations over the years.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about like maybe Tom Hanks in Castaway, because he had to
Hmm.
lose a lot of weight to play when he was stranded. And I don't recall any other roles where he did something like that. I think about I can't think of anybody else right now, but that's just somebody that's coming to mind. But
Hmm.
the thing is with Bale, he went back and forth.
Yes.
It was really intense. And I'm we're gonna get to the awards in a second here. And trust me, I don't believe the awards make his career, but
Hmm.
it's just so interesting when you look at things here. So in '04, he did The Machinist, so he lost all that weight. And then he put the weight back on again in '05 for
Hmm.
Batman Begins. And then he lost it again in Rescue Dawn because he had to play the he was a Vietnam War vet, if I'm not mistaken. And then he kind of got back to kind of normal weight again with the Prestige 310 to Yuma, but then he had to put the muscle back on again for the Dark Knight.
Yup.
And then he had to lose weight again for the Fighter because he played a thin man in that. Then he got muscular again for the Dark Knight Rises. And then he got heavy for American Hustle because he had to have a pot belly. So
Yes.
he went that route. He said, I'm not wearing a fat suit. That's what they're called. So he had to put weight on again. And then, just wait, back and forth, back and forth. And it's just, and I'm definitely not saying that this makes him a good actor, but it's the dedication,
Yeah.
uh, to the role. Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I would have.
There's a commitment and there's an argument for people who will go back and forth like, is it safe, is it not safe? I'm not here to
Right.
debate that. I'm just saying that the amount of commitment that he has for these roles
Right.
is insane.
Yeah.
And when he did Dick Cheney, he got really big for
He
Dick
got heavy
Cheney.
again for that,
Heavy again. And I think that's what it is with Christian Bale, is that we've seen other actors do it. We've seen other actors lose weight for a role or gain weight for a role. We've seen it.
Right.
But again, Bale, there's a consistency with how often he does it. And he's not afraid to go through those changes for a role. And goes, listen, could very easily put on a suit for this or prosthetics.
Right.
Especially now, we've seen actors use CGI, to help them lose weight. We've seen actors have their face sunken in post, and Christian's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. I'm gonna go full method. And it works. It works for him.
I'm wondering if he's ever going to get to that point where he doesn't want to do that anymore. Because eventually the body's going to say, "Hey, we need to stop doing this." It probably
Yeah,
already says
yeah.
that now. But here's the thing. He's got that nutritionist. He's got the
Hmm.
the trainer. He's got all those people that are the sources. He's got a doctor. Obviously, have to supervise these things. And once again, that's debatable whether it's healthy or not. What he's doing,
Hmm.
we're not licensed nutritionists, so we can't
Nope.
say
Can't
that.
can't say anything about that.
We can't say. But as actors, we can say, hey, we respect that. People with acting
Yeah.
backgrounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he's been nominated for 4 Oscars. He won the one for The Fighter and American Hustle, Big Short, Vice, nominated for those. Um, let's see, Golden Globes, he won one for The Fighter. He was nominated for American Hustle, nominated for Big Short, nominated one for Vice, and he was
Hmm.
nominated for in Ford versus Ferrari. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's another good one. He's great
Yeah,
in that movie.
yeah, that was pretty cool. Let me see here. I want to say that was James Mangold.
Yes, it was.
There's a name.
I like James Mangold. That's a great director, man.
Good
That's a
director,
great director.
James Mangold, based on a true story as well. So
Yep.
it was pretty cool. So don't want to spend too much time going through filmographies. That's something I tend to do, but once again, just every single time Bale is in something, and he's another one of those people where I can feel a certain way about the movie where I was like, man, I really wasn't feeling that movie.
Mhm.
But him, man, I'll just look at him and go, well, at least Christian Bale was in it, and he made
Yeah,
it
and
entertaining to watch his character.
we've had that conversation where we walked away, and I know there have been times where you'll recommend a movie to me and say, you know, Rick, I'm not sure if this is going to be up your alley, but you're going to appreciate the performances. And I think that is something that we can take away, that even if we don't walk away from a movie saying that was a great movie, you know, that doesn't mean that the performances are bad. Sometimes a bad performance can elevate a movie. You know what I mean? You might walk away with a better impression of the film because the performances were just that good. You know, Christian is one of those guys that I think can do that. I think that you could have Christian Bale in a film that a person might walk away and go, oh, it was okay. But did you, that Christian Bale though?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's one of those
Well, I
actors.
mean, most recently. So let's talk about that. So he was in the Dark Knight trilogy,
Mhm.
and assuming that Christopher Nolan assuming Christopher Nolan came back, that was the only way he would ever do another Batman movie.
Yep.
You know, he said that, we believe that, but obviously Nolan was done. So as far as Bale was considered, he was done playing Batman. And at the time we thought done playing superhero roles, period.
Mhm.
And, you know, just fan casting, I always thought it would be pretty cool if he came back as a Batman villain one day, you know,
Mhm.
perhaps in the DCEU or for a side project, but no, that never happened. Out of nowhere, Taika Waititi for Thor Love and Thunder, he announces that Christian Bale is going to play the villain, Gore. And it was out of left field because Bale does, so this is really cool about Bale too. He does action movies, he does
Mhm.
dramas. He he's done a lot of things. He's got a well-rounded career, you know, not too much
Mhm.
horror or comedy, but he does action and then he does dramas. And then, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy that fulfilled both. It was an action and it was a
Yep.
drama, you know, saga. But as far as like something, you know, like a superhero movie, we thought he was done. Rick, please share your thoughts about that because that was a left field thing for me when the announcement happened.
I was completely in shock because
Yeah,
one, I also believed that Christian Bale had walked away from the comic book films. I thought that was what it was. It's like, you know
right.
what? He did Dark Knight trilogy. I can't see him coming back into the comic book world. And to not only return to the comic book world, but to come back in such it's a goofy movie. It's Taika, you know what I mean? He likes
Right.
to make fun comedies. Now, Taika can also do other genres as well.
Correct.
But Thor, you know, Ragnarok and the latest Thor Love and Thunder were at most comedies. You know, at the center of it all,
Agree.
they're very comical films. So when I heard that they secured Christian Bale, I was kind of in denial. I was like, nah, this is gonna be a bogus rumor. I just can't see it. But you know, I think Bale, and I think we talked about it, I think Bale was just one of those guys that wanted to work with Taika.
Yeah,
And maybe he just wanted to have some fun for something a little
true.
different. And interestingly enough, as much as that movie is a comedy, Bale doesn't play it like a
No.
comedy at all. And he's arguably the best part of that movie when it comes to giving a serious performance in a movie that where he's kind of surrounded with a lot of shenanigans. Bale didn't play it up that way. So it almost feels like Bale was like, listen, I will come try this, but I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it
Yeah.
the way I think it's good for this character. And he didn't fall into, all right, let's make it jokey, let's make it comical. But I'll tell you, when I first heard the news, I was shocked. But then after seeing his performance, I was like, oh, that's a performance I would expect from Christian Bale.
Exactly. And that was probably the main reason I went to go see that in the theaters. You know, I
Hmm.
said, you know what, Bale's coming back to superhero movies. I got to give this a shot. It's Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I gotta see this. And while I had personal feelings about the movie, obviously, and it was definitely a divisive movie, something that doesn't happen too much in the MCU. It's been happening a lot more lately since Endgame happened, but
Hmm.
consistently across the board, whether people enjoyed the movie or didn't enjoy the movie, it's always been, you know, Christian Bale was solid as Gore
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
movie.
And
No.
I'm with you as well. I think after Thor Ragnarok, I was starting to feel the fatigue quite a bit. Um, when it came to comic book films and the Thor franchise, I started to feel a little fatigued, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll go see Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know.
Right.
But when Christian Bale got announced, he's one of those names that will pique my curiosity. You know what I mean? Where I'll go, wait, Christian Bale's in this?
Right.
Okay, then there's got to be something to this that I'm missing or that I don't
Right.
know. And again, for the most part, the movie was what it was. But again, Bale killed it, man. Bale did
Yeah.
a great job.
Yeah, exactly. And just to this day, it's just been going strong. And that there's been other actors that I've enjoyed. I had favorite actors before he came along,
Mm-hmm.
but once he came along, it was kind of like, that early work got my, had my, had my curiosity, but then the other work had my attention.
Got my attention. Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it was really cool. It was just, and just as somebody with an acting background, every single role that I saw him in, it was just kind of like, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of performers in the industry where they have a certain delivery,
Mm-hmm.
and regardless of the role they have that similar delivery in each role. I don't like saying they're playing the same person in
Yeah.
each movie because I think that's disrespectful to the actor, but they have like a similar delivery. But with him, even though he's got his acting quirks, so to speak, he dedicates himself fully to being a character each and every time, whether it's an accent, whether it's changing his body, whether it's mannerisms, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be. This man just embodies every single role. And, there's been reports of how he is in real life, how he is on set. This isn't about that. This is about me respecting somebody as a performer.
Oh, good for you.
Terminator
Do I walk
Salvation.
on your Do I walk on your lights, Bryce? Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That
That
was that
Welsh
was
that
that.
that Welsh accent,
It was
So
good. It was good.
it's
It was
awesome.
good.
So on that note, Ricardo, who is your favorite actor? And we're gonna go man first, obviously.
Yeah, we've had this conversation, and
Uh-huh.
like you said, we've been watching film for a long time, so there's been actors that have kind of come in and out and whatnot. But for me, man, like I I think like you, I always look for how well rounded an entertainer is, an actor, an actress. How well rounded can I see them in multiple genres? Can I see them in multiple formats?
Mm-hmm.
Can they do a decent job? You know what I mean? And for me, man, it's it's the Hugh Jackman, bro. The Jackman, the Hugh Jackman. I've been in love with Hugh Jackman for a few years now, and it was
Yeah.
funny is that when I first got introduced to Hugh Jackman, it was in the first X-Men film that came out in the year
Right.
2000, right? So a lot of us were introduced to him through that way, and like you mentioned, it's also really cool when you get an iconic character played by someone that the world isn't really familiar with just
Right.
yet. So I remember, and again, I was a kid and I've learned my lesson not to have knee jerk reactions anymore. But I remember seeing him in the trailer and I was like, who is that guy?
Right.
That's Wolverine. Who is that guy? And within minutes, I think after his first scene in the movie, I was like, oh, that's Wolverine.
Yeah.
That's Wolverine. That's our guy. That's our guy. And ever since then, I was like, okay, wow, like I really need to put myself in check and really just appreciate the performances and whatnot, and go
Right.
from there. But Hugh Jackman, just watching his career, like this is a guy who I watch, who I've seen do strong drama, like a movie like Prisoners,
Right.
where he's just an
Good choice.
unbelievable tour de force of a performance as a broken father. If you have not seen Prisoners, I am suggesting that everyone go see
Denis.
Prisoners. Denis Villeneuve, Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman. Just please go see it. But he gives an unbelievable
Yeah.
dramatic
Great.
performance in that film. It was one of those where I was like, he better get nominated for an
And
Oscar. Like I was like, nominate that man for an Oscar, please. And he didn't get nominated for it. But
no.
hey, what are you gonna no, what are you gonna
Yeah,
do?
no,
It happens.
none. Nothing.
None.
Yeah.
Snubs
But
happen. You know what
it
I
is
mean?
what it is.
It is what it is, and we just roll with the punches. But this is a guy I've seen do strong dramas. I've seen him do rom-coms like Kate and Leopold.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've seen him do comedy. I've seen him not take himself too seriously. And
Right.
what was that movie? Movie 42, Secret Movie 42. It was a really ridiculous anthology parody film.
Right.
And Hugh Jackman had testicles on his chin. You know what I mean? Like he does not take himself
Yeah.
seriously. And
Close.
there's something
Movie
to be
43. Yeah.
movie
It was an
43. Thank
anthology.
you.
Oh, Ridiculous. Absolutely
mm.
ridiculous. Yeah.
But I don't know if he was tied to a contract. I don't know if he made a deal. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, here's a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously either. And as an actor, sometimes you got to be silly and ridiculous.
Right.
So I've seen this guy pull great drama. I've seen rom-coms. I've seen silly comedies, and then I've seen this guy do stage, theater, singing,
Right.
dancing. And I'm like, you know what, man? This guy is so well-rounded. How can I watch him and see him as Wolverine, and in the same token, see him in The Greatest Showman? Singing
Right.
and dancing and just be, having tears in my eye, or playing the role that got him the Oscar nomination. He didn't get the win, but was Jean Valjean in Les Miserables.
Yeah.
It's seeing that
Phenomenal.
performance, and just an unreal performance. They're singing live, which is already challenging enough, but just, in his eyes, his performance, I was just like, man. So for me to be able to see this guy in that type of a range is just, it's fantastic. So like for me, Hugh Jackman's the guy, man. I don't
That's
know
pretty
if there
cool.
was a specific point in time where I knew. I don't know if there was one movie that I saw and kind of went,
Right.
okay, that's my guy. I think it snuck up on me. I think there was just one day where I was like, wow, he's so well rounded.
Yeah. I feel like I might have been a part of that conversation because when we were in the gym together, we were always talking
Mhm.
about movies and actors and stuff like that. And every time a Hugh Jackman movie came out, you would just be like, man, he's so good.
So
He's
good,
so
man.
good. He's so good. And I think after Les Mis, just you were gushing, obviously, and I just kind of looked at you. I was just like, is Hugh Jackman your favorite actor?
I think, yep,
And
yep,
you were
yep,
like, I don't know. I don't know. I
yep.
need to
Because
think
yep,
about that. Yeah.
nope. I
So,
remember that conversation, and it's true because I think it snuck up on me, and it was one of those things
yeah.
where I was just like, it's Hugh Jackman. It is Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, played Wolverine for endless years, and he's coming back. He's going to do Wolverine one more time. You know what I mean? His performance in Logan, that was another time where I was like, guys, we
Woo.
got to give this guy his
Incredible.
cred. Give him his cred, man. Like, he's one of those that just seems to fly under the radar with certain things, but he's another guy that I feel like I could trust him in almost any role. He's a
Right.
guy, another one that I'm like, hey, if you got Hugh Jackman, I'm interested. You know what I mean? Regardless of what it is. I love seeing him play a villain in Chappie. That was awesome. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that was the first time I saw him play a villain. And it was like, okay, cool. He can play an a-hole. He can play this guy who you don't like and you don't want to cheer for. And I was like, you know what? I like that. I like that a lot. So again, Hugh Jackman, and he's still killing it, man. He's still crushing it. He's on
Still going
stage,
strong.
doing those tours, doing it up. I love his relationship with Ryan Reynolds. It makes me laugh. But yeah, Hugh Jackman, man, I adore that guy. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, let's take a look here. I was actually surprised at the awards he's won. So
Mm-hmm.
he's got 4 Golden Globe nominations and 1 win.
Yeah,
So he was nominated for Kate and Leopold. He won it for Les Mis. He
yeah.
was nominated for Greatest Showman, which we will talk about in a second here.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was nominated. It was a TV show. It's called The Sun.
Yes.
He won a Grammy for Best Compilation Soundtrack Album for Visual Media, and that was The Greatest Showman.
Greatest
So he
Showman.
has a Golden Globe, he has a Grammy, he has an Emmy. He won an Emmy for hosting the 58th Tony Awards in '05.
Yes.
So he won an Emmy as well. And then all of his other Emmy nominations are mostly award shows. And then he was nominated for Bad Education in 2020. And then his sole Academy Award nomination was for Les Mis, and he did
Les
not win that.
Mis. He did not win.
So, incredible career. All he needs is an Oscar to get that he got.
Man, if
Emmy,
he's one of
Emmy,
those,
Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
yep, he's one of those guys that, like, we always have those people. It was like Leonardo DiCaprio for years, right? We were all rooting for him to get the Oscar. Hugh Jackman's my guy. Like, I'm always hoping that there's just going to be a role that lands at his doorstep that gets him that Oscar nom. Again, I've seen him. He's got range. We've all seen the performances that he can deliver. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of time before the right script hits his doorstep, if you will, and he gets to perform and just give us an Oscar nom is nothing to ignore. It's incredible, but I really, really hope he gets an Oscar win one day.
Yeah. So let's go through the competition that year and let's
Okay.
take a look at that. So we had Hugh Jackman in Les Miserables. He was nominated. We had Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook.
That was a big one.
We had Joaquin Phoenix in The Master. We had Denzel Washington in Flight. And then we had the person that won, who somebody somebody that a lot of people consider one of, if not the best modern day actor of the past 20, 30, 40 years, Daniel Day-Lewis. He won it for
Yep.
playing Lincoln.
Lincoln.
So it's a biopic. It's transformative. He looked just like him, excuse me. If you've ever heard Lincoln speak, he sounded just like him. I wasn't really into that movie per se, but there's no denying Daniel Day-Lewis in that movie and in that role. So
Wait,
I don't think anyone would have been mad if you won it, because I called it the performance of a lifetime. It was the best, in my opinion, the best performance of his career. No disrespect to any other time that he's played Wolverine. Well, at the time, Logan hadn't come out yet. So
yeah,
Logan hadn't come out. So with all due respect to that role, before then, just absolutely amazing. I love that show, but and I watch live theater when I can, but to see that done the way that they did it for film, just incredible,
Yeah, him. There's a lot of great performances in that movie. Him, Anne Hathaway, you name it.
Yeah.
Just
Which she won.
Yeah, she did.
She won her Oscar. Yeah,
she did. And Hugh and they all did. They all did. But Hugh was no different in that movie. He broke me down in that movie. He broke me down a few times, and I was just like, what a beautiful performance. But he went against some heavy hitters, man. He has some heavy hitters there. You know what I mean? Like, Joaquin Phoenix, we already know how much of an amazing actor he is.
Great actor.
You know what I mean? Denzel Washington, one of the
all-time great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the goats.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, it's not that, I don't know if people would have been upset if he won. It's the Oscars.
Right,
everybody
exactly.
can't win, right?
And with the Academy Awards, we know this. Eventually, he'll get nominated for something, and then they're gonna be like, you know what? Let's just give it to him.
Yeah, that's the makeup. That's the makeup award for what.
Unfortunately, sometimes somebody gets it because they haven't gotten it yet, when somebody else should have gotten it. But I will not argue if Hugh Jackman wins an Oscar one day.
No, I'm gonna be up there standing in my living room, just clapping and applauding,
and with tears in your eyes.
Just like, we did it, Hugh. We did it.
Did you go to the theater to see Les Mis?
Yes,
you did. Did you go with your wife or did you go alone?
No, me and her went together.
Excellent.
And we were both sobbing babies, of course, throughout that entire movie.
Crying and fighting the musical.
That's it. Just crying and fighting the musical, just absolutely bawling. Yeah, we both went. It was awesome. We saw that together, and we saw The Greatest Showman together. Right. Those are the two Hugh Jackman films that we saw together.
Yeah, and so you bring up The Greatest Showman, and not that he needed it, but it was like another just really big jolt at the time.
Yeah, I remember.
Showman came out.
Oh, man. I remember
that came out the same year as Logan, by the way, 2017.
Again, you have him playing
Incredible
Wolverine, and then you've got him singing and dancing, and it was just like, this is the same guy, but he's so transformative that you don't see that in the roles, and that's amazing. And I remember just watching, The Greatest Showman, and Britt looked at me, and I think it was as the credits were rolling in, and she's like, I think that's my favorite movie this year. I don't have to see it anymore. Like, she was so taken by it, and I was like, it was so good. We downloaded the music immediately. We were listening to it on the car ride home. Yeah. And one of the things I loved about it too was seeing how passionate he was about making the movie. I watched a behind the scenes featurette and watched the other performers singing, and him just watching in complete awe. And I'm like, man, he loves this. He absolutely loves it. And it translated in the movie, and I felt it. It was great. Yeah.
And at the, he's kind of gone back and forth with Broadway. And live performance. So this was like second nature for him at this point, even by the time he did Les Mis, he'd already had a background in theater. So doing something like this. The cool thing I enjoyed about Greatest Showman, or the thing that I like to bring up, is that typically when we see a musical on film, it's usually based on the live show. The Greatest Showman was a completely original show. It's to my understanding, it wasn't really based on. It was based on P.T. Barnum, obviously, and there is a show called Barnum. That's the theater side of me, but there is no The Greatest Showman, and I thought that was pretty cool that they did that, and the songs were wonderful. They got this come on, man. You got Zendaya, you got Zac Efron. Man, I mean,
they had it. Zendaya and Zac Efron are swinging, and I love the transition at the end where he hands off the hat and he's like, it's your turn. I'm gonna go be with my daughters. And me, a father of two daughters, man, it hits even more now watching it. And it just, you got Michelle Williams in that movie too.
Michelle Williams, come on, man.
Powerhouse, so you got Michelle Williams and Hugh Jackman singing together. And I'm like, come on, I don't get better than that, man. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, we had Rebecca Ferguson. She was in that
Oh,
too.
so good. So good.
I want to give a shout out. So when I saw that movie, that's my favorite number in the movie, Never Enough.
Hmm.
And Rebecca Ferguson is amazing. I love that scene. Like it's just so cool how they frame it. Like Michelle Williams is over here and Hugh is over here and he's watching Rebecca Ferguson's character sing and he's just like
Yeah.
he's being such a good actor, just
Yeah.
just taking everything in. And I had to look it up. I was just like, wow, I didn't know Rebecca Ferguson sang. And she didn't sing it. And
She
I
did
don't
not.
know the pieces that went into place, but the performance name is forgive me if I mispronounce this, it's Lauren Allred.
Hmm.
She's a former American. Um, I believe she was on American Idol. I don't remember. Hmm.
She crushed it in that song,
She
though.
was on
I'll
The
tell you
Voice,
that.
excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was on The Voice, and um, she's lately been. Excuse me, I'm just looking at things here. She's been coming back again, and uh, a lot of people didn't know that she's the one that sang that. So it was
Yeah.
really cool. I saw her come on. There was like a blind audition for another show that she was
Hmm.
on because she still, at the time, was still trying to get a contract. And she said, I'm just going to sing a song that you will recognize. And I'm the original singer for the song. And then she just goes right into it. And it was Never Enough. And it was a standing ovation by the very end because she's just incredible on that song,
It,
you know?
her voice is amazing,
Yeah.
and the reason I know the reason I thought that it was actually Rebecca Ferguson is a testament to her acting ability, because watching Rebecca sing that song in the scene, she gives an amazing performance that makes you believe that's her giving her all.
Yeah.
Just Rebecca kills it in that scene, man. And I was like you, I was like, I had no idea Rebecca had such a
Yeah.
voice, you know what I mean? And then
I
I also read and found out that she wasn't the singer. I was like, oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
I
happens.
may or may not have seen a situation where Ferguson actually rallied for her to be the one to sing it.
Oh, okay.
That
That's
that
cool.
that she knew
That's cool.
that she knew that I don't know what the situation was as far as writing or singing or whatever, but it was just kind of I think it was like a situation where it was like the album version was going to be different than the movie version, something like that. But
Okay. That
I think
happens.
Ferguson was just like, you know, I'll lip sync it. It needs to be her voice, So I thought that was really cool. So
It's really cool. It gives her a credit. People get to hear her beautiful voice on a film that everybody seemed to be watching at
yeah,
the time, and that's a win-win for her.
yeah, it was really cool. She later came back to Britain's Got Talent recently, and that was where people got reintroduced to her. They didn't know that that was her, so that was really cool. Obviously, Greatest
Okay.
Showman had blown up again, so really cool. Shout out to Lauren Alred, amazing vocalist there. Um, before we move forward, so I don't know what I would pick as my favorite Christian Bale role.
I was gonna ask you too.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Christian Bale role? I was thinking about that earlier,
Oh
and that's
man.
hard. It's
It's
hard.
hard to just pick one. Um
Rain of Fire, where he fights dragons with Matthew McConaughey. There it is. I said it. I said it. No, I was kidding. Good performance, but that's not my favorite.
yeah, I mean, not to lean on the Oscar winning role, I thought he was incredible in The Fighter.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know, that
unbelievable in The Fighter.
yeah, he was incredible in The Fighter. The Machinist, like
Oh man, that's another one.
what a great role. Um uh some people say American Psycho is his best role. Just because
American Psycho.
the way that movie was framed,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna cop out here. I honestly don't know which one I would pick. I mean, if you had to force me, probably The Fighter.
Hmm.
Probably The Fighter if you had to force me. And um, you know, so that's about it. So do you think you have a favorite for Hugh Jackman? Like
For Hugh Jackman,
one singular movie,
man,
or just too many to pick from?
there's a lot to pick from. His range is so different, and I'm gonna say one. I
Okay,
will,
sure.
and I don't know if it's a bias because I like Denise so much, but when he's in Prisoners,
So
man,
Prisoners, wow, great pick.
it's his performance is just it's so painful, you know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to watch it now for obvious reasons, but watching his performance in that film, it felt so raw and so real, and it
Right.
was one of those performances where, sometimes we watch a movie and we watch a performance and we go, oh, that's a great performance. I can't relate to it. It's just a great performance. This was a performance that he was giving that I felt that like many people could relate to. They could relate to having such an anger, a rage, a sadness, a tragedy. And just watching him play these, because even within that movie, he's wearing a mask within that movie. You know,
Right.
he's playing, he's working, he's, you know, not trying to show too much with the officers. He's doing whatnot. I don't want to say spoilers because again, it's too terrific of a movie, but it might be, you know, like the easy, like maybe I don't want to say the cheap answer, but you know, he's played Wolverine for so long. I can see many people argue, say Wolverine's his best role to date. You
Yeah.
know, Logan,
And that's
phenomenal.
fair.
That's completely fair because the cool thing about when he played Wolverine is I felt like he got better each and every single time he played
Yes.
Wolverine. Every single time he pushed something a little bit more. And then by the time we got to Logan, it was absolute perfection. And it was a beautiful swan song. He is coming back, so I am curious to see what this version of Wolverine might end up being
Right.
in a Deadpool movie. But again, that's totally fair. But there's something about Prisoners with Denis Villeneuve, I should say, him working with Dano, him working with Gyllenhaal, and just man, just
Yeah.
he,
That's a solid
he,
movie, man. A solid role.
he, he's got a good yell, you know, as performance. Like, find my daughter. Like, there's just, I'm just like, dude, it might be. Again, there's a lot to pick from, to be honest. Like
There is.
Jean Valjean in Les Mis is
Oh,
unbelievable.
right.
You know what I mean? But
And then
again,
you
there's
think about
something,
Barnum and Greatest Showman. You know
yeah,
that,
like
and oh yeah, we almost forgot. That movie got such. Well, here's the thing. It didn't get critical acclaim,
it
but the
did not.
fans
Yes.
loved it. It got fan acclaim.
Hmm.
It did very well at the box office, and he was able to go on a solo tour
Yes.
singing songs from The Greatest Showman and I believe other shows as well. The
Hmm.
Hugh Jackman tour. I mean,
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, the dude went on his own tour, and I was like,
that's
bro, like
incredible.
it's such a feat. It's such a feat, and also he was with your boy Christian Bale in The
The
Prestige,
Prestige, yes, yeah.
and
That's our little. Well, the superhero geeks, we could say that movie where Batman and Wolverine and Black Widow,
and then you
this
got and then you got
Scarlet,
Alfred, and then you got Alfred in
yeah,
there as
Michael Caine,
like
yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Caine,
Alfred,
and I'm like, bro, this
yeah,
cast, man,
yeah. But the
Nolan
main
knew what he
joke
was
is like
doing.
Batman and Wolverine went against each other in that movie,
Yes,
directed by
yes.
Christopher Nolan. There's that name.
Yes, it's so good. So like your favorite actor, my favorite actor, we're in one film together and
Yeah,
it's incredible.
that's
It's
it.
an absolute incredible film.
Yeah, and they weren't just they didn't do like a De Niro and Pacino just a couple scenes. It was no, they
No,
were at it the whole movie. It was
I
incredible.
love that movie.
Yeah, that's cool. So, man, we're just flowing tonight. This is great.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. I get hyped talking about these actors, man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off with my choice for a woman. I wanted you to go last because I don't know who your woman choice is. So I'm going to be surprised along with you folks here. It's gonna be
Yes.
great. And mine is another obvious choice. I've talked about her many times over the years. I credit this woman with wanting me to get into acting as a teenager.
Hmm.
And the first time I saw her, well, first of all, her name is Catherine Zeta-Jones. So
Catherine
that's the
Zeta-Jones.
pick. A lot of people might say she kind of peaked early in her career. That's a phrase that gets thrown around. But at the time, I had never seen somebody just breathe life into characters that she did, man or woman, at the time. And I discovered her along with everybody else when she was Elena in The Mask of Zorro, and she was incredible in that movie. She stole every single scene she was in. No disrespect to Antonio Banderas or uh, uh sorry, I'm Anthony Hopkins. You know,
Anthony Hopkins.
yeah, no disrespect, but yeah, she was incredible in that. And then she just went on a run. She was in Entrapment. She was in The Haunting. She had a cameo in High Fidelity with John Cusack. She was in Traffic. Steven Soderbergh. She was in a romantic comedy, America's Sweethearts, and then she was in Chicago in
Yes.
'02. So we're talking from 98 to '02. This was a 4-year run with all those movies. And she was nominated and won the Oscar for Chicago. And after that, things kind of changed. It was really interesting. She was in a comedy called Intolerable Cruelty. That was in '03. I'm just going through the major ones here. She was in The Terminal in '04, Ocean's 12, in '04 as well. She was in The Legend of Zorro. That was the Zorro sequel in '05. No Reservations in '07. And then just things here and there, you know. I liked her in Rock of Ages in 2012. That was a fun movie.
Oh, yes, it
Fun,
was.
fun musical. And at this point, she's a little bit older, playing an older role, different type of role, but no disrespect to that cast. Whenever she was on screen, it was like Catherine's there and she's making her presence. And she's got a big theater background, huge theater background. So, and we'll get into a little bit, but just roles here and there. She never really fully went away. Well, from film, so to speak, but there was that time where she just peaked, and a lot of people will be quick to say, oh, she was so beautiful, you know, and yes, very beautiful woman, absolutely, you know. Me personally, I don't want to get too personal here. She looks like she could pass for several ethnicities, and that is something that I personally find attractive in women, you know, personally speaking. And to the point where she's played many Hispanic actress roles over the years. You know, she was Elena in The Mask of Zorro. And up until recently, because of her look, people don't know that she's a Caucasian.
Yeah, she's
she's Welsh.
Welsh,
She's Welsh as well.
yeah.
Welsh and Irish. So
Yes.
I had to look it up because it's just baffling to me that this woman is not at least mixed. You know, but she's Caucasian, you know, so and that plays into it too, that a woman with this kind of look, and at the time we were still getting that, I don't want to say across the board, but we were still getting white blonde women with blue eyes getting cast a lot at the time, you know, and to see in leads anyway, and then the types of movies that she was doing, but to see a brunette lead with such an interesting look, that kind of, you know, got me into seeing her as well. But once again, just she had this energy. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Catherine just has this energy whenever she's on screen that for me, it's just like, listen, whatever you're in, I can just watch it. It doesn't matter I don't care how much money that movie makes. I don't care how bad the reviews are. I like you as a performer. And I once again, I've said this before in the past, she's a dream interview for me. I would love to interview this woman one day. Just you know, just let her know, you know, that I think she's wonderful.
Just tell her, I'm like, Catherine, you're fantastic. She was great. I remember the earliest memory I have of watching her was actually, do you remember this movie, The Phantom, in 1996?
I remember The Phantom. Yeah, Billy Zane, right?
Billy Zane.
Oh, there's a name.
Let me tell you, I'm a Billy Zane fan, y'all.
Yeah. You know, talk about ethnically ambiguous people. There we go. There's one.
Billy Zane. I was a huge fan of Billy Zane. You know, it's like Demon Knight Billy Zane. Dude's incredible. But I remember that was one of the earlier times that I saw Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I remember being like, she is drop dead gorgeous. I was a kid, so obviously my first instinct was like, she's so beautiful, right? And she had a very exotic look, and she looked like my family. You know, she had the brown skin, the dark hair. So even at such a young age, I was like, yo, she looks like us. And that was really, really cool. And like you said, it took me a while to realize that she wasn't actually Hispanic. I thought she was, especially after The Mask of Zorro. Because I saw The Mask of Zorro and I was like, oh yeah, like 100%. She's totally Hispanic.
And then in Traffic, again, she played a Hispanic woman again in Traffic, you know?
And that look definitely played a role. You know, that's how you know, the casting director saw her. That's how directors saw her. They were like, hey, she's got this look. They leaned into it. And it was really cool because, like you said, she kind of blew up a little bit. I remember watching The Haunting and all these films, and Catherine Zeta-Jones, Entrapment with Sean Connery. You know what I mean? And I just remember seeing her, and I was like, this is her moment. Like, this is her moment. She's blowing up. Like, this is it. Like, we got to experience that in the 90s and early 2000s of her just winding up in a bunch of different places. And she's another one. She's another one that I felt had great range. You know what I mean? I liked watching her do like these cool, fun action adventures like The Phantom and Mask of Zorro. I loved her in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
Great performance in Chicago. I was like, okay, so she can sing, she can dance. And then watching her in Rock of Ages, which was a little bit more on the comical side of things, and her playing somewhat of an older version who wasn't really about the rock and roll and seeing that side of Catherine. And I was like, dude, she's great. She's great.
Right.
It's, like you said, I feel like many people would argue that she kind of peaked early on, and that's unfortunate because I still think she's super talented. Luckily, we just saw her in Wednesday.
Yeah.
She played Morticia,
Morticia. Yeah.
which is an excellent casting choice.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
So much so the only reason I was bummed was because I wanted to see more of her in the show. I absolutely want to see more Morticia. And even though she's only given a few moments,
right,
the performance she's giving as Morticia is so good.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in the terms of her duplicating a performance from, Angelica Houston or previous incarceration of the character, but there's moments of levity and emotion in the show where you just feel it, and like she's got tears in her eyes watering, and the softness of her voice and the performance that she's giving. I'm like, dude, Catherine's great. She's just great.
She brought her own intensity to the role because Morticia's been played by several women over the years, but she brought her flair and her brand to the role. And here's the thing though, too, with her, like I felt Chicago was vindication for my love of her as an actor, because a lot of times I would get, well, you just like her because she's pretty, Anderson, and she was, and a lot of the roles she was getting, she was playing that femme fatale type role, and people were just like, oh, just another pretty face, blah, blah, blah. And for me, I was just like, no, this person can act. She can act. She's good. And then Chicago was the, oh, okay then. Yeah. So, and then she went on to play other roles where sometimes it was like that type of femme fatale, but sometimes not, Traffic was a completely dramatic role. She might have done that while she was pregnant, if I'm not mistaken, in real life.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
And unfortunately, things kind of slowed down a little bit. She was still in more. I mean, she never really stopped working, playing for keeps. Broken City, Side Effects, Red 2.
Oh yeah, she was in Red 2. You're right.
Red 2 that was 2013. So that wasn't that long ago, and then things just slowed down, so to speak. She was still doing she was still getting roles, but they weren't really high profile roles. It was kind of like ensemble cast almost. And, and here's Catherine Zeta-Jones. And Catherine Zeta-Jones. Thankfully, to the magic of television, she's kind of, we're seeing her a lot more again. She was in Cocaine Godmother. She was in Queen America. She was in Prodigal Son for a little bit. Wednesday, as you just mentioned, and I haven't seen it yet, but she's in the National Treasure TV show on Disney Plus.
I have a reason to watch now because I completely forgot that show existed. Yeah, so now I'm like, wait, I will watch.
I haven't had a chance, and I like the movies. The movies are great.
Yes.
And I have no idea what the show is about, but I saw her face and I said, huh.
Yeah. It's like, I guess I'm watching.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, as you know, that sometimes in the industry, sometimes things happen and in people's real lives. And that may cause, I don't know, casting directors to stop casting them or studios not want to work with them. There's a bit of a speculation that maybe she wasn't getting as many roles because, well, there was a few things. I mean, she had a few things happen like kind of all at the same time. Her husband, Michael Douglas, unfortunately, he got throat cancer. And I don't want to say that was a part of it, but kind of like same area, she was vocal about her mental health, and she just put it out there. I am bipolar, and that, once again, another reason I respect her just in real life. I saw her just over the years, just in Britain, just claw her way up. And I saw her just achieve her dreams. And now she's at a place where she's already got the career. She's got the awards recognition. And now she comes out and says this, and I would hope that studios didn't want to continue working with her as much because she was so vocal about that. Because at the time, I mean, well, let's be honest, mental health stigma, it's always going to be around. People are getting more comfortable talking about it as we go along. Folks, if you don't know this, I am a mental health advocate and social justice advocate. So it's getting better. We're not anywhere near it being fully away, but at the time when she was talking about it, it was still like a taboo subject.
Yeah.
And I would hope that that's not a reason she probably wasn't getting as many roles. A more logistical reason, which is so unfortunate about the industry, is that women sometimes stop getting roles as they get older.
Yeah.
And feel free to touch on the things I just spoke about, Ricardo.
Yeah. First of all, when she came out and talked about herself having bipolar, like you said, that's a
Right.
huge thing of respect because you're pretty much being vulnerable to the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're opening up in a way that you don't have to. And
Right.
she felt comfortable enough to share that with the world so the world could understand, what she was going through, what she was enduring, especially during a time where her husband had gotten sick. You know what I mean? That's excruciating for any family to have to go through that. And for her to be open about that and, to take care of her husband, to take care of her family, and to be like, hey, also, I have bipolar. That's something I deal with. Like, that's so commendable because,
Absolutely.
again, there's been such a stigma around mental health that a lot of people will just keep that in, right? They're just like, oh, like I want to hold this in. I don't want to tell anybody. But to be open like that, the amount of trust that she gave when she did that, it's extremely commendable, and I thought that was awesome. And then there might have been a time where maybe she was more focused on her family life due to everything that was happening, maybe
Right.
bettering her mental health for whatever reason, because like you said, like we don't want to, we hope that the reason she wasn't getting roles was something more positive than it was negative. We don't want it to be that what we hear, and unfortunately, like, it does happen, and it happens way more for women than it does men, that when
Right.
women get older
Not
they
right.
become, I don't, it's like the studios think they're less profitable, which is insane.
Right. Ridiculous.
We have amazing actresses that get better as they get older. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen performers grow, and you're essentially sometimes capping women at the knees, being like, oh, well, how old is she now? She's 46. Okay, no,
Yeah.
cast the 22-year-old female with the 47-year-old male. And it's like, hold on, pump the brakes a little bit. So
Right.
hopefully that didn't have something to do with it,
I
but
hope so.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to think that it didn't, especially during that time in Hollywood. We want to say it's getting better, we want to say things are progressing to a degree, but it's still an issue. And it's not hard for us to think a little bit that maybe as she was getting older, because again, we said it a lot of times people were only looking at Catherine Zeta for her looks, when deep down she's a terrific performer.
Right.
And people are like, oh, but she's just beautiful, she's a bombshell. And I'm like, yeah, but she's a very talented actress as well.
Yeah.
And
Just
Hollywood's gonna Hollywood.
Yeah, and just to interject here, that breakout role of Zora, I mean, she had such a good look. She was 29 in that movie.
Yeah,
So
dude, like,
she had such a young look. So
yeah,
she's 53 now. I think she looks incredible still, to be
dude,
honest with
she's
you.
great.
I'm
She's great.
biased, but she's 53, but still though, like just what I heard thrown on, she's almost like a classic Hollywood beauty type deal.
I can see that.
Just
I can
yeah,
see that.
classic Hollywood. So but yeah, absolutely. So that's my person, Catherine Zeta-Jones,
Catherine
my
Zeta-Jones,
woman actor,
man.
quite possibly my favorite actor ever. I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah,
choose, but
dude, it's a constant evolution of
yeah,
actors coming in and coming out, and then we're seeing work
right,
from other people that impress us.
right,
So it's
and
hard, but like,
yeah, and I mean, not to get into it too much, but we're seeing these things now where actors will have career resurgences later in their career.
yes,
And
yes.
so who's to say somebody's not going to say, no, I want Catherine Zeta Jones for this role where she's playing a mom or
Hmm.
something like that, or something for somebody in her age range where it's like, and then we might hear something else again as far as that goes. So, oh, by the way, before we move on to your pick, she does have an Academy Award. She got that for uh excuse me, for Chicago, and then
Hmm.
she also won a Tony.
Yeah.
So she also won a Tony. That was later on, actually. She has an Academy Award for Chicago. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for that one, and
Hmm.
then she was nominated for a Golden Globe for Traffic, and then she won a Tony in '09 for A Little Night Music. So that was the name of the Tony Award. So no Grammy, and yes, no Grammy. What am I missing? And no Emmy.
And no Emmy. And no Emmy.
No Emmy. Thank you. So, all right. So The anticipation is over with. I have like a couple picks in my mind, but I want you to say it.
Okay.
Ricardo Segura, who is your pick for actress
Okay.
as far as
So
your favorite?
I've watched her career for a very long time. Again,
Okay.
we're talking about a well-rounded career,
Yeah.
multiple genres. She's even directed a few films as well.
Ooh, there we go.
She's
Okay.
directed a few films. She's done great leads, great supporting. She's an Oscar winner as well. She
Mm.
has won the Academy Award. The first time I saw her was in a film called Leon the Professional, and it is Natalie
Whoa.
Portman.
Wow.
Natalie
Incredible pick.
Portman. I was like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna
Wow.
get it. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna
No,
figure
I
it out.
did not
Yep,
have that in
yep.
my mind.
Natalie Portman. I was thinking about it
Wow.
because we talked about it today, and I was like, all right, who am I thinking of? And immediately, don't even know why. She just shot into my brain, and I
That is
remember
great.
going, I was like, wow, I've watched her in films since I was a child. Leon the Professional is one of my favorite films, and watching her, and I think there was something to say about her also being a child actress as well, and maintaining such a career it says a lot, because a lot of times, when children become actors, sometimes they do a little bit and they get out. You
Right.
know what I mean? They're kind of like, oh, this isn't really for me. But she stuck around. And not only did she stick around, she had an amazing career. She
Yeah.
does great drama. She can do tough action roles. She can do comedy, and she's directed. She is also a director, Academy
That's
Award winner for The Swan with Darren. It's Natalie Portman,
yeah.
man.
That's
Oh,
when I think about just one of the best roles I've ever seen, I think about her role in The Swan.
The
That's
Swan,
just one
unbelievable.
of those roles. Like, and that was a year like, all right, there's no way she's not winning this Oscar.
Yeah,
Like,
like you didn't walk away from that movie thinking, no, there's no way. There's no way.
yeah,
Brilliant performance,
yeah,
scary performance, just scary good. You know what I mean?
right.
And I was blown away by her, and I'm just in. I can't. It doesn't help that she was in V for Vendetta. I mean, it helps. Obviously, she was in V for Vendetta, which I love,
Yeah, great
and
movie.
I remember she shaved her head
Yep.
in the film. You know what I mean? Went all for it and said, let's go, let's do it. And like, she's just game, and I love her for it.
Yeah. So, she's also in a franchise that you're a huge fan of, and talking about Star
Mhm.
Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
She was in the episode 1, 2, and 3.
yeah. Queen
She was Anakin. You're breaking my
yeah,
heart.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Was it Amidala?
Yeah, and it was and again, watching her grow, like I'm watching her, and she's still very young in those movies and whatnot, and just seeing her career, you know what I mean? And she got to be in Star Wars. And look, we're not going to debate whether we enjoy episode 1, 2, and 3. We're not here to
Right.
do that. It's not what
Nope.
it's about. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to talk about that. But she's great. She's great.
Yeah,
I
you
had
liked
no
her.
issues with her, no issues with Natalie Portman whatsoever. You know what I mean? And again, I watched a movie with her the other day. I watched a movie Closer with her, and
Yeah.
another fantastic performance. And I'm just like, look, man,
Just
Natalie,
one of those people just brings it every single
every
time.
time, every time. And I've always been a fan. I've always been a fan. And it was funny because I never really thought about it. Like it's like the Hugh Jackman situation. You had to ask me, like, is Hugh Jackman he might be your favorite actor? And I was
Right.
like, I have to think about it, because we're just so, there's so many actors we're drawn to, right? Like, there's so many great actors, especially right now. I can name like Margot Robbie, you know what I
Right.
mean? I can name Meryl Streep. I can name Emma Stone. I can just continue to name and name and name.
Right.
But for whatever reason, Natalie Portman came up, and I think it was The Swan. I think because I thought, The Swan, and I just went, oh my God, it's Natalie. It's absolutely
That's
Natalie.
cool.
Just
Yeah.
absolutely Natalie.
I'm thinking about that the SNL sketch where she does the gangster rap.
Oh my God, dude. She's so
It's
funny.
all about
I
Natalie.
obviously we're not gonna repeat her lyrics, but it
Right.
is so funny. And again, she can be funny, and there's something about an actor who can tap into that much range.
Right.
And it's always something that I love. And a lot of times, actors and actresses, and we talked about this recently too, where they find a genre they're really good at, and they stick to that. They go, oh, this is where I excel. I'll stick to that. And that's fine. That's great.
Right.
Natalie's one of those where it's like,
Back and forth.
I can do
Yeah, she's
whatever
a
you need me to do, I can do it.
right. Here we go. She's Jane Foster in the MCU.
Hmm.
And the story is she kind of walked away after Thor: The Dark World, thinking
Yeah.
she won't be in it again because I believe Patty Jenkins, there's a name, was supposed to direct that movie, and
Yes.
things changed within the MCU as they often do. And
Mhm.
she kind of said, "Okay, well, I'm contractually obligated," and she did it. And then we never saw her again until
Mhm.
Thor: Love and Thunder, where
Yep.
she got to play the mighty Thor, and that's a reason to want to come back.
Yep. And
you know,
and just like Christian Bale, when her name was dropped, it made people go, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like it was like, wait, we got Natalie Portman back. Like
right?
Natalie's coming back. So like Bale and Portman, when you heard those two names, I got intrigued. I was already intrigued with Christian Bale, but then they were like Natalie Portman. I said, wait a minute, okay,
Right.
what's going
And it
on? What
wasn't
did
just to
they
play
do?
Jane Foster, but because she was going to play Mighty Thor. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was the hook.
Yes.
That was the hook. And she's not hurting for roles. She's in stuff left and right.
No.
It's not
No.
like she needed it. It doesn't like
Nope.
she needed the paycheck or the attention. Obviously, it was just like, you have a chance to do this, and they pulled from the comics that emotional arc that
Mm-hmm.
character had. But that's a great choice, man.
Natalie Portman, man. I love Natalie Portman. Like again, there are movies where I can despise her, and in other movies where I can love her and adore her. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so good. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just think just watching her grow as well. You know what I mean? Like again, I was watching her since I was a kid and watching her trajectory and her career and just watch her work and watch her get better and watch her nail
Yeah.
these roles. And then for her to go into the director's chair, that's something I really love. I love when actors make that transition because I think actors turn directors make terrific directors because they understand what it means to be in front of the camera and to be directed and to how to take direction. So I think that when they could transition into the director's chair and also take that knowledge from other directors they've worked with, other actors they've worked with, and now they got a whole new perspective of what it means to make a movie. So to see her direct films as well, that's super cool. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, she's an actor director. I love it.
I've never seen any of her movies that she directed. I'm looking at it now. 2008 Eve, also 2008 New York, I Love You,
Mhm.
2015 A Tale of Love and Darkness, and then
Yes.
2022 Hot Season. So I don't know if I pronounced that. Oh, that's a music video. So,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but so you saw A Tale of Love and Darkness then?
Yes. The drama war film.
Okay, that
it's
is
it's
cool.
obviously it's been, that movie came out in 2015,
Yeah,
so it's been a little while,
that is
but
cool.
it was another thing that I was like, I'm gonna go see this. It's like when Ben Affleck started doing directing, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go watch it. I'm gonna go watch it because he's an actor turned director.
Right,
I love seeing that.
right. That's a
So
great thing. Yeah,
it was no different for Natalie Portman. It was like, oh, she's directing movies, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go watch it. Like I have to go watch it and just see her put in the work and then also direct, star in the film and whatnot. That's a challenge. We've that's so challenging to direct and act in a film, and not many people do it. And the fact that she
right.
was able to do it and pull it off, I was like, man, come on, Natalie, I love you. You're awesome.
So, I like to talk about awards here. So it
Mhm.
doesn't look like I just want to make sure here. So no Tonys
No,
and no Emmys. She's got some Golden Globe nominations here, and we only do the four major ones because we don't want to be here all day. So,
yeah,
um,
because we could be all day for that.
yeah, absolutely. So, she was nominated for a Golden Globe for Anywhere But Here. She
Hmm.
won it for Closer, and
Yes, she did.
she won it for Closer, and she won it for Black Swan,
Yep,
and then she was nominated for Jackie.
she was
So
nominated for Jackie. Yeah.
she was nominated for Jackie for the Golden Globe, and then the Academy Awards. Let's take a look at that. She was nominated for Closer. That was an
Yep.
Academy Award nominated role. And then she
Yep.
was nominated and won for Black Swan. And then she was nominated for Jackie. So
Yes.
she's got her awards too, but that's not the main thing. She's got
Hmm.
such a great career, man. That's
I
really
love her
cool.
career. Yeah, and again, I watched Closer maybe around 4 or 5 days ago. I
Okay.
don't know what brought it on. I was just like, I'm gonna watch Closer. I hadn't seen it in a very long time, and you got Julia Roberts, you got Clive Owen, you
Yeah.
got oh God, I'm blanking on his name. Jude Law was
I think it's Jude
mm,
Law.
it is Jude Law, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Jude Law and then Natalie Portman. And then watching them all perform, and they're all great actors, but Natalie, I was just drawn to her. And then, to find out that she was nominated for it, I was like, see, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. She was nominated for that. And again, Black Swan. You're talking
Man,
about
Aronofsky, man, he's just got a way
exactly.
with like whew, bringing
It's
these transformative performances out of people.
it's and I love that it is categorized as an American psychological horror film.
It is.
That's how it's categorized. And it's
Yeah,
like she won. And we talked about this. It's like, oh, I want to see horror films or horror performances be taken more seriously for the Oscars. And sometimes, and myself included, we tend to forget that Black Swan was listed as an American psychological horror film.
right.
And she won the Oscar for it. And that might be her performance. When you talk about movies, actors and actresses and that one performance where
Right.
that was it. Black Swan might have been it for her because it was just
there's no denying one of the best women performances of the 21st century, and then overall as well. So I wouldn't hate you for that choice. I didn't pick it for Catherine. I think I always come back to Chicago, just with how great that movie was. And once again, I don't want to lean on the fact that she won the Oscar for it, but for me, it's her best role. Like,
yeah.
Just anytime she's on the screen, just lights up the screen, and it's just like, you know what? Yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah. It's okay to agree with the Oscars. Sometimes we don't agree, and like we're not cheating in by saying like, hey, these are our favorite roles. They also won. It's just they also won the Oscar for the roles that we tend to find to be their best role to date. And again, just I'm looking at the cover now, and I'm like, man, I'm probably gonna watch Black Swan again this week because we're just talking about it, and I haven't seen it in a very long time, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna watch it again. I think I'm gonna do that again.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think I want to watch it too.
I think I'm gonna watch it again.
I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it in a while. So we just talked about our favorite actors. I picked Christian Bale and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Ricardo picked Hugh Jackman and Natalie Portman. That was a surprise to me, but that's what I wanted to pick.
That's what I wanted. I was like, oh man. I said, you know what? I said, I got one. I'm gonna pull one out the back.
So now every time I see her in something, I'm gonna hit you up and go, hey,
yes,
are you gonna check
Natalie
this out?
Portman. Yup.
It's pretty cool. I respect the pick. So now we're just gonna casually throw some names out here, and obviously we couldn't pick everybody as our favorite.
Yeah, there's too many.
I'd like to just names of people that when we see them in a movie or just somebody that we're just drawn to.
Yes.
When we see. So I like James McAvoy.
James is another. He's a great pick.
James McAvoy, just solid actor, incredible in everything. My favorite role is the Horde in Split.
It's Split. I was going to say it's Split, isn't it?
Yeah, it's he wasn't zero award recognition because it was it's a genre film. Unfortunately, but to me, just playing that role of the multiple personalities, and he's been in Wanted. That was a fun movie. He's Mr. Thomas in the
Mr. Tumnus and Lion Witch in the
Wardrobe. Now it's a superhero franchise, but I loved him as Charles Xavier.
He's a fantastic
in the First Class movies. He was in, I want to say 4 X-Men movies. So was it First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Phoenix?
Yes.
So he's a great Professor X, and having to follow Patrick Stewart, like
I remember the scene where they're face to face in Days of Future Past, and you've got Patrick Stewart and you have James McAvoy.
Oh, such a great part. Yeah.
And Patrick says, I need you to hope again. And it's such a good moment because, like you said, sometimes an actor can overshadow another actor, right? When they're on screen together. And Patrick is a legendary actor. And Patrick and James shared the screen. And I said, yep, both of those guys are an amazing Xavier.
Yeah.
I never felt one was way better than the other. I was like, both of these guys are terrific Xaviers at different points in their lives. James McAvoy is awesome.
Them when they met each other, that was an emotional moment for me in Days of Future Past when they met each other, because it was just a culmination of events. So that was great. Who's somebody that jumps out to you? And we'll go back and forth here a little bit. So
oh man, there's a bunch of them. Obviously, the easy answer, Leonardo DiCaprio. When I see
there we go.
When I
Yeah.
see him in something, I'm immediately drawn to it. Tom Hardy, another guy.
Oh, Hardy's great.
Tom
Yeah.
Hardy, I see him and I know I'm going to get a really different performance. Christian Bale, you know what I mean?
Bale.
Christian
Yep.
Bale's another guy. I just watched a movie with him on Netflix because Christian Bale was in it. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, Christian Bale. Yep, I'm going to watch it. So there's a bunch of guys. Denzel Washington, I've got like a little
Yeah. Oh,
list in
you have a
front of
little
me that I
list there. I
made.
didn't have a list.
Yeah,
So
I made a little list,
yeah.
but
All right.
yeah, so
Well,
like
yeah.
Leo, come on, man. Leo's in the movie. I'm good. I'm in it to win it. You know what I mean? And then watching other actors come up. You know what I mean? Like Pedro Pascal's blowing up right now.
He's
So
great.
when I see his name attached to things, I'm like, okay, I got to see it. And I'll bring one more up because we talked about the resurgence. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage's
Age is
resurgence right
interesting.
now is that because his career is having a resurgence, I'm much more interested again. I'm like, oh, Nicolas Cage is in a movie. Okay, I want to watch it. I want to watch it
Right.
because again, his career is blowing up again, and I find that now he's getting offered a lot of out there roles. You know what I mean? Where he cages out a little bit or whatnot,
Hmm.
but he's another guy. He's another guy. But if I had to put one of them, besides Christian Bale and whatnot, it's probably Leo. Like I see Leo and some, I'm gonna go watch it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go watch it.
Leo's great. So, I'm just looking at things here. I like Keanu. Keanu's,
Oh,
once John Wick came out, it was just like, oh, he's back now, because he was
yes.
kind of away for a little bit. And obviously, the Matrix franchise, but just great roles left and right. I'm thinking about Call Always Be My Maybe.
Always be, yeah.
Yeah. So I like Keanu. Constantine,
Yeah.
like he's not a comic accurate Constantine, but
Mm-mm.
what a fun movie and a fun role for him. Devil's Advocate,
Oh my God.
so
Him and Robert De Niro. I'm the devil. Oh, like
yeah, yeah,
give me
yeah.
Robert De Niro devil all day.
So I think about Keanu Reeves. As he gets older, I'm really liking Ben Affleck as an actor.
Yes.
I
That's
really,
another one.
yeah, a way back. He just did a drama there. The Tender Bar, directed by George Clooney. Um, I don't want to say my favorite, but one of my favorite people to play Batman.
He
He's
he's
great. You
He's one
know,
of those guys that he's always been a good actor, but as he's
right,
getting older, he's getting better, he's
right.
getting
It's
wiser with
maturity.
roles. It's
Yeah,
maturity and it comes in
it's
and
great.
he's another guy, actor,
Turn
director,
director.
Argo, The Town.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like he's another guy that I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I'm
It was almost like that shift when he won the Best Picture Oscar for
Mhm.
Argo. And at that point, he had his breakout winning the Best Oscar for writing with Matt
Yes.
Damon
Hmm.
for what was it, Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
So that was like a big stretch. And
Yep.
then when Argo, it kind of shifted, and it was almost like, does he want to direct more now? Is he kind of
Yeah.
closing the chapter on acting? But obviously not. He's been in a few things, but excuse me, just incredible. Gone Girl, David
Gone
Fincher.
Girl. Again,
So
Ben is Ben, I I think Argo, like you said, Argo might have been to switch for him to be like, hey, I can do this. I can
yeah,
direct movies and I can act in movies and continue to do so. But yeah, there's a level of maturity to Ben that has made me a really big fan. Again, he's always been a good actor,
yeah,
but you clearly have Armageddon Ben Affleck, and then you have Gone Girl Ben Affleck.
right.
And there's a growth there. You can see it. You know what I mean? And Ben is one of those guys, man. Again, Ben is Batman. Man, look, come on, man.
Yeah. The
I could
warehouse
talk about
scene. The warehouse
I could
scene
talk
in BVS, man.
I could talk about Ben giving these amazing
Yeah.
monologues as Batman. 20 years in Gotham, Alfred, how many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? Man, Ben's delivery in that movie and many other movies, he's great, man. Ben Affleck is great.
Yeah, he's awesome. So just recently, I think about, guys like Michael B. Jordan.
Oh,
Michael
he's
B.
another, yeah.
Jordan, he's
Yep.
just solid,
Yep.
At the time when he played Killmonger in Black
Hmm.
Panther, the thing was that the MCU doesn't really have noteworthy villains.
Yep.
At the time, like people just, Loki and Thanos hadn't really emerged yet, and they were just like, well, that was good. you
Yeah,
know,
I remember walking away and he gave such a good performance that I personally felt okay. that was the best villain that we've had thus far in
Yeah.
Marvel. I was like, it was, there was a sense of it being grounded to understanding where he came from. Because the good thing, in my opinion, about villains is that like they think they're in the right, and you can
Right.
also see where they're coming from to a degree. They're going about it the wrong way, but you can understand their pain. And Michael B. Jordan played that so well, absolutely so well. He's arguably, you know, major respect to the late Chadwick Boseman. He was phenomenal in that movie as well.
Yeah. There's
And
another name.
they played off each other so well in that
Yeah.
movie. But you as much as you walk away thinking about Chadwick, you also walk away thinking about Michael B. Jordan's performance as
Yeah.
Killmonger in that film.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he's directing Creed 3.
He is. How cool is that?
He's directing and acting in
Yeah.
Creed 3.
Yeah. And that's another role,
Yep.
yeah, like just incredible in that role. It's good stuff. Um, there are so many women that I
So
can name. Women,
it's not even fair.
and I'm not just trying to, there's just something about a good woman actor that they bring this. And I'm not saying men can't be vulnerable, because men can be vulnerable.
Mhm.
But for me personally, somebody with a performance background, there's just something about when I see certain women on screen, it's like, man, what a sincere performance,
Yeah.
So, phew, how long do we have? So,
Yeah, I'm
uh,
telling you, man, it's an endless list. So we're
yeah.
just like gonna
So, all right. So, Michelle Williams, just that's one person, just
easily.
incredible and everything. Loved her in my week with Marilyn. Um, I'm thinking about Greatest Showman. She was was it Blue Valentine?
Yeah,
Was it Blue Valentine with Ryan
Blue
Gosling? Like just
Valentine.
movie after movie after movie. I like Nicole Kidman. I think Nicole Kidman just, and her career's like gone like this, but just now, like, don't get me wrong, she was great when she was younger, but I like
Hmm.
older Nicole Kidman now. Just,
Yeah,
you're good,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
She was in the Northman, and she
Right.
again, she's a supporting role in the Northman, and again, it's always a testament to the actor that you don't need a lot of screen time to give a wonderful performance. And she's a supporting character in the movie, so she doesn't have a lot of screen time, but whenever she's on the screen, she's owning it. She's
Right.
absolutely fantastic in it. And you said Michelle Williams, and it's funny because I was a fan of Michelle Williams since Dawson's Creek. I was a big
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek
OG.
fan. OG, I watched it every Wednesday night, man, at around 7 p.m. or whatnot. And funny enough, is that while I was a fan, I never thought in my wildest dreams when I was watching Dawson's Creek that Michelle Williams was going to be the biggest breakout star from that
Right.
show. I did not think that was going to be the case because obviously the way the show was written, you had your leads and whatnot, and she was one of the main four, but the show had always written it to be Katie Holmes' character Joey. So I'm like, all right, Katie Holmes is going to be the breakout star. She's going to be the one. And Michelle Williams surprised me in just with unbelievable performances from Michelle Williams. She just did The Fablemans,
Yeah.
which again, she crushed it in there. I've never seen a bad performance from her ever in any sense in any regard. So I'm glad you brought her up because she's another one, man. She's another one.
Michelle Williams. Yeah. And, um, you know who I'm going to say? Anya Taylor-Joy,
I was
man. Just
waiting for it. I was waiting for it. I was
every
waiting for it. I was like, Anya
single,
Taylor-Joy is coming.
every single thing, just bringing it,
Hmm.
the breakout role in The Witch. Um, she was in Split opposite
Split.
James McAvoy. She was in the sequel Glass. She was in Emma. That's a movie. She was in The New Mutants, The Queen's Gambit, big
Yeah.
big TV show on Netflix where she was incredible. Um, here we go. Last Night in Soho.
Yes.
You
That's
know,
another one. Edgar Wright, director
Edgar
Edgar Wright.
Wright,
Love
great
that movie.
director. There's a name. She was in The Northman, like the a
The
recent movie that we
Menu.
enjoyed. The Menu,
The
incredible in that.
Menu.
And then she was in Amsterdam. She had a minor role in that. So,
Hmm.
um, just this woman just shines. She's got such a unique look. She's well, here we go again, multiracial.
Yep.
She's got an interesting look. She's fluent in Spanish. So
Okay.
yeah, I've seen her speak in Spanish. So I don't know if it was her first language, but she's just fluent in it. So,
Okay.
there's somebody I think about. I like Tessa Thompson.
Yes.
Tessa Thompson, she's a Valkyrie in the MCU for you folks, but she's also opposite Michael B. Jordan in the Creed
And Creed.
in,
Yep.
in the Creed movie. So just whenever I see her, I'm like, man, she's got some some good energy. But as
She
far
she worked with she worked with Natalie Portman in Annihilation.
she did,
We're gonna make
she
all these
did.
connections. That's what we're gonna
Alex
do. We're gonna make all these
Garland,
connections. Alex Garland,
Ex Machina.
Annihilation.
Yeah, yeah, nice
Yep.
sci-fi director there. I know you like your
Yep.
sci-fi movies, you know.
Love
So,
sci-fi.
but if I could pick like a recent favorite, it would probably be Anya Taylor-Joy. Like
She
anytime she's in something, I'm just like, man, this woman, this woman's good, you know.
she's like Hansel from Zoolander. She's so hot right now. You know what I mean? Anya Taylor-Joy. She's so hot right now. She's killing it. I
Yeah,
remember
like
watching her in Split.
26 years old. My
She's so
goodness.
young, man. She's so young, and and again, she's got a whole
She could
career
stop
ahead of her
right now,
still.
and it's like, oh wow, great career.
Great, you know what I mean? And I remember watching her in Split, and I don't recall. And that might have been my introduction to her was in Split, where I really saw her.
Right.
And again, just an unbelievable performance from her in Split. And then watching The Witch, where we talked about it, the climax of that movie is unsettling.
Yes, very disturbing.
And you know, for her as a performer, there's a switch in her in those final few moments in the film, and it's jarring, and it's
Yeah.
sad, it's an emotional, and she does just a terrific job. She's great. Anya Taylor-Joy is great, and now she's Princess Peach in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
She
Like
is.
there's nothing she can't do. There's nothing she can't do. And the menu is great because she's in a
Yeah.
room full of other actors, right? There's a
Right.
bunch of
Very
experienced
capable
actors,
actors too.
and she just stands
Right. And
out,
she's
man.
opposite Ralph Fiennes, for Lord's sake.
Yep.
And he's a powerhouse, and she's standing her ground, and just
Yep.
it's really cool. And what I like about another thing I like about her is, and don't get me wrong, I love loud performances, and she can be loud if she wants to, but
Mhm.
she's got these eyes, man, these real piercing eyes, and just these facial features where she doesn't need to raise her voice to be intense.
Yes.
And it's really cool. What other women come to mind for you?
Margot Robbie.
Yeah,
I like Margot Robbie.
great pick. Yeah,
I think she's a great performer. I think sometimes people, you know, because she was such a good Harley Quinn, right? That's the first thing
right.
people think about. They go
Right.
Harley Quinn, and I'm like, yeah, man, she's got some really, really like, um, she's got some really great movies that some people haven't even heard of. You know what I
Right.
mean? And she's great. I like watching her. She's another person that I think can do multiple genres. I remember watching her for the first time in Wolf of Wall Street. And Wolf of
Right.
Wall Street, she was kind of like just supposed to be the really beautiful woman that sleeps with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
And as the movie progressed, like you saw a performance. So I was like, okay, good. They're not just casting her to be the pretty girl in the movie. They're letting
Right.
her act. And
And she
she's in
held
scenes
her
with
own.
Leo. With Leo.
Yeah, she held her own. Like, what a breakout. You know,
You know what I
that's
mean? Like,
really cool.
God, she was so young, and she's working with Leonardo DiCaprio in scenes with him, and she's going tit for tat with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she's another one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna name you girl, Scarlett Johansson.
Yo, Scarlett's great, man.
Scarlett
Scarlett
Johansson.
is great. That's another, and I like that you named Margot and Scarlett back to back because, and this is such a, once again, just another just strike against women in the industry. Sometimes they try to discredit them if they're good looking. You know, it's like she's just another pretty face. She's just
pretty.
Pretty face. And then, you know, for me with Scarlett, they said that for so many years, and then she comes out with a banger of a year where she gets nominated not for one but two Oscars in the same year.
Yep.
You know, supporting in Jojo Rabbit and leading in Marriage Story. You know, she didn't win, but for me, like that was the okay. You know, listen, guys, we can stop it. Stop it. You know, she can act.
Yep.
You know,
There was a scene in the Marriage Story. I think it's when she's talking to her lawyer, and it's uncut. It's completely uncut.
Yeah.
And she's doing like, you know, the snotty nose cry and just talking. And it's such an amazing performance because again, we're so used to Hollywood and the machine being like, oh, she's just beautiful. And I'm like, there is an amazing actress in there. She's more than just her looks. You know what I mean? And it's great seeing Scarlett in movies. It's great seeing Margot. And you know who else? Viola Davis. Viola Davis.
Powerhouse.
Viola Davis, man. I watched her in The Woman King. The Woman King, and a lot of people are saying she got snubbed for an Oscar. And you know, that's you know, people can debate all this stuff. I would have loved to see her nominated for The Woman King, but Viola Davis has a power presence when she's on screen, man. Like she just radiates power, and I feel it across the screen.
She's another one where like she brings it just every single time. She just brings it, even if it's a cameo. You know, so that's a good one. Oh, what about your girl? We say this back and forth here. Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas, dude. I love Ana de Armas. I love she's got a little bit of controversy right now for the movie Blonde, obviously, and she got
Right.
nominated for an Oscar, and so obviously people are talking about that. But she's another one that has grown on me the more I watch her. And regardless of how you feel about the movie Blonde, if you strip everything away and you just watch the performance,
Right.
insanely good
Great
performance.
performance. Great
Just like
performance.
if you just took scenes out and just chopped them all up and say, hey, just watch this performance and whatnot, it's an amazing performance. And she's given amazing performances. She has. But like I think that's one that probably if they had never seen that side of her before, that's where they saw it. You know, again, it's unfortunate the film's got a lot of controversy around it, but performance wise, you know, that was, man, she killed it. And she was in Blade Runner 2049, which is one of my favorite movies. So, you
It
know, I love
is. Yeah.
her.
Yeah. You're sci-fi and horror. That's your
Yeah, that's those are my jams, man. Those are my jams.
that is cool. Any other actors or actresses you want to give a shout out to there? We have a name. I feel like we're gonna name the entire
Yeah, I'm gonna say her because I watched like 3 films of her this week. Kate Winslet. Why not? Kate
just
Winslet.
solid. Just solid.
Solid.
Yeah. Not one of my
I watched like
favorites, but
yeah,
solid,
I watched like three
That's
films from her this week accidentally, and I was
yeah.
like, I've watched 3 Kate Winslet films, and I was like, man, you know
Yeah.
what? You're really good. If you're in it, I'll watch it.
That's how I feel about Cate Blanchett. She's not one of my
Ooh, okay.
favorites, but that
Mhm.
woman is solid.
Yeah.
Just solid. Multiple awards nominations, Oscars, Golden Globes, all that good stuff. Just, once again, not one of my favorites. And then there we go. We talk about the MCU. It was almost like there was Thor Ragnarok, and then she was there.
Yes. She was doing her great villain performance. Again, it's
Yeah.
like 2 different things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Two
really
different
cool.
things. I'll give a shout
Um,
out to Jennifer Lawrence. That'll be my other one.
you know what? Jennifer Lawrence is great.
J Law.
The issue with her is people say she might have been overexposed
Yeah,
early in
she was
she
hot
was
and
in
heavy for a
everything. She
long
was in
time.
everything.
Yep.
Yeah, she was in everything. But she's got her award nominations too, so that's pretty cool.
When I
There's
saw her
another
in Mother, I was like, okay.
yeah,
Mother and Red Sparrow were 2 movies where I saw her in, and I was like, okay.
right.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, she got the Oscar for Silver Linings, well deserved.
Yes.
Well deserved. That was a great movie, great performance. Here's another here's another multiracial woman. She's young, but I like what I've
Mhm.
seen so far. Hailee Steinfeld.
Ooh, you do like Hailee Steinfeld. That is
Yeah,
true.
I do.
That is true.
The Edge of 17 is my favorite role for her. She was nominated for an Oscar in True Grit when she was
Yeah.
younger. She's in Bumblebee.
Hmm.
She's in the Pitch Perfect series, so she hasn't done much. But whenever I see her, it's like she's committed. She's got a successful singing career as a pop star, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, another actress that can sing and dance. The triple threat, sing,
yeah,
dance, and act. She can do it all.
yeah. Well rounded, but I like her. But check out the Edge of 17, folks. That's
That
an
movie is
underrated
amazing.
gem. Yeah,
Yes.
underrated gem. So, all right, cool. So I think we're gonna start winding down here. This was a good chat, Ricardo.
I love it. I love it because like we get to talk about our favorites, and then we also get to talk about the other actors and actresses they're amazing. Like there's so
Yeah,
much
and I know we
talent
missed a
out
few
there.
because we didn't plan on this
Yeah.
part.
No.
Like
We're just we're riffing a little bit and talking about people. There's so many talented actors
yeah,
and actresses
yeah.
out
Oh, I
there.
want to give a shout out to Jonathan Majors. I think that man's career is about
Yes,
to blow up. Yeah, let's give a
bruh.
shout out to him. He was in
Jonathan
yeah.
Majors.
What was the TV show on HBO?
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft
Um,
Country.
Lovecraft Country. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That was my first introduction to him, and he absolutely killed it. He's obviously now he just joined the MCU.
he did.
But Jonathan Majors is another person that he's got an amazing presence. And he's in Creed 3. And I feel bad because I'm scared. I'm scared for Adonis because Jonathan Majors looks like he eats people. Like he is jacked
Yeah,
to the gills.
just incredible. Yeah,
Insanely
let's
jacked.
talk about physical transformations, almost like a Hugh Jackman type performance. When people talk about muscular transformations,
Yeah.
they go to Hugh Jackman because he usually,
Yep.
he does say, yeah, Majors, man. He was in The Five Bloods.
Yes. The
At,
Five Bloods is if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Go watch The Five Bloods.
yeah. So he's got a nice up and coming, uh, a blossoming career, I should say, not up and coming, but a
Mm.
blossoming career. I just remember just when Loki towards the end of that series, I just remember his appearance. Just he was just a scene stealer,
He
and
was.
that one performance. I mean, we're not talking about the show in itself, but just when he came on screen, and I don't know too much about that character,
Yeah, I don't
comics
either.
was wise Kang. All I knew was this guy's good. He can act.
Yeah.
So,
He was literally eating up the scene.
oh, it was
He,
wonderful.
like because
And
I
mind
think
you, Tom Hiddleston was in the scene with him.
yes, and Tom is a fantastic
Great. Oh, there we
actor.
go. There's an actor. Yeah, there's another
Tom
name.
Hiddleston, another guy who's just he's a fantastic actor, and Jonathan Majors in the scene. And the cool thing about it is that obviously we're kind of building up to Jonathan Majors as Kang, especially even in the show. So I didn't know what
Yeah.
to expect. And when I got the performance that we got, it wasn't a performance that I was expecting for that type of a character, but it was so good. It was just absolutely, it was flawless. And I can't wait because he's going to be playing different versions
Yeah.
of this character. So we're going to see him stretch those acting muscles throughout the MCU, hopefully.
Right. So I didn't hear you bring up Henry Cavill's name yet today.
I have not brought up
You
Henry
did not,
Cavill. I did
because
not bring up
right.
Henry Cavill yet.
Yeah, so here's the thing. He's like one of those people with a similar delivery
Mm-hmm.
in his movies. We bring up the word stoic almost.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a stoic. So we have yet to see that transformative role from him. You know,
Yeah,
he's played Superman in the DCEU.
I love him as Superman.
Yeah, just Mission Impossible. He had a fun role in Stardust. Yeah, he was in
Yes,
that. You know,
yes, very early on.
yeah, Man from Uncle.
I loved him
There's
in
been
Man from
rumors.
Uncle.
I think if he got Bond, that would really be awesome for his
Yeah,
career. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
he's one of those actors that I want to see a director get to open up. You know what I mean? Because he's an amazing Superman. I love his work with Zack Snyder. I thought he was a great Superman. I thought he was great as Geralt in The Witcher. Great.
there we
You
go.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
TV role. Yeah,
Thought he was great as Geralt. And he's got other films. Stardust, my God, what a throwback. That's a
yeah.
great
It's a
one.
fun movie, fun
It's a
fantasy movie.
very, very, very fun movie. And he's another guy, the Henry Cavill, and I like him. I want to see him get a variety of roles. I
Right.
want to see people see this other side to him that they
Right.
probably haven't seen yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I know you didn't bring him up because that's why. You know, it's like
Mhm.
we've only seen one thing, so we need to see other things. We need to see that transformative process, and it'll happen. Well, and I'll go as well. I like Gal Gadot, you know, but
Oh, okay, okay.
but we haven't seen that yet. That transformative, you know, she's
Mhm.
kind of got this similar delivery, this intensity, this charisma. She's got a great charisma
Oh my God,
on
Gal is so
screen, you know,
charismatic on screen.
um, but just those transformative performances, we haven't seen that yet, you know, but
Mhm.
she's been great in the things that we've seen her in, you know. She's coming back to the Fast and the Furious franchise as Giselle.
Mhm.
Clearly, I mean, Wonder Woman's her best role, obviously, but
Yes.
um, you know, she's had a few action roles here and there. She's, you know, I liked her in Death on the Nile.
Yeah,
Death
she
on the
had fun.
Nile.
You could tell she was having fun, and
You
I
know,
think
so
that was
she's growing, and I am forgiving with her in the sense that she started out as a model,
Mhm.
so she didn't really come up as an actor. So, you know, when she kind of got that breakout role in the Fast and Furious series, she was still kind of a model at the time. You know, it
Yeah,
wasn't until
yeah.
she got when Zach casted her. Let's be clear about
Yes.
that. Until he casted her as Wonder Woman, that's when she started stretching. You know, and then she was in, you know, Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. The rest is
And
history.
she
But
and if I remember correctly, she almost walked away from acting completely because she wasn't happy with where things were going. And I think she got
right,
the call to do the audition with Zack Snyder. And I don't even know if she knew if it was Wonder Woman right away. I think they were like,
right,
hey, we got this movie, just come down and read. And when she got there, she found out. And, you know, when Zack casted her, you know, it helped her a lot. She got to be Wonder Woman, and that helped her career. And she's having fun, man. It's
yeah,
like she's having a blast. You
yeah.
could see her having fun in these movies, and I love that.
Yeah, just like Cavill, I would love to see Gal get that role one day where it's just
Yes.
like, oh, okay, you know, this was a really cool role, you know, and I'm hoping,
Yeah.
you know, for that we're DC guys, you know, we root for our
Yeah.
people, you know,
I,
so
I want to, and yeah, and we're those people that like, especially because like when Henry Cavill joined and he was Superman, it was like, hey, we're going to support Henry Cavill in all
right,
his
he was a
projects.
virtual unknown at the time, right?
Yep, we're like, we're going to support him in all his projects. We're going to go out, we're going to watch him at the theaters. I saw the Man from Uncle. I saw that in theaters. It was almost like a James Bond type.
Yeah,
I
there we go.
always thought of seeing him as James Bond. You know what I mean? So like, I know I loved him in the Mission Impossible. I loved him in Mission
He
Impossible
was
as the
great.
bad guy. he's got the arm pumping scene, you know what I mean? The bathroom
Yeah.
fight scene and whatnot. And then he does the twist at the end. And he's the villain and whatnot. I was like, yeah, Henry's playing a bad guy. This is awesome. And he's working with Tom Cruise. So he's working with great names and whatnot. And I feel like Henry just always seems to keep getting the shaft in the business where like he's
Right.
Superman and now he's not. And then he is and then
Yeah,
he's not. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
Back and
man.
forth, back and
And then,
forth.
he's got The Witcher and he's like, I want to be closer to source material. And
Right.
things didn't work out. So he
Right.
had
Now
to
he's
walk
doing
away
another
from The
TV show.
Witcher.
He's doing Warhammer now, so he has that now.
Warhammer.
So
I'm so excited because I think this might be a really good time for him to showcase the things he might not have been able to
right.
showcase yet.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
he's
yeah.
the guy running it.
And
He's
he
the
was
guy running it.
Sherlock in Enola Holmes. That
Yes. Oh,
franchise too. He's the king of the geeks. He's in all these geeky
king
roles, you know?
of the geeks, man. Sherlock Holmes, Geralt, Superman. I mean, if he gets James Bond, it's over. It's over. Like he's got
Yeah.
it all. He's got it all.
Yeah. So I think I heard Aaron Taylor Johnson was up for it as well. And
Yeah, I did hear that name.
And he's British. So
Yep.
um
I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. Again, he's another guy who's grown on me more over the years.
right. Right. And that's the cool thing. Like sometimes where people they get to start where they're young and then they just grow. And that's what I love about the profession of acting, that ideally you want to see somebody grow. And as
Yes.
they, and the cool thing is like as you grow as a person, the hope is that you let that transition with you to the screen. So good stuff. All right. Well, folks, that was our discussion on our favorite performers, actors, actresses, if you will. Please give us a like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing. And we would appreciate it if you also let us know how you feel in the comments below. Please let us know. We are open to your suggestions. On a personal note, we appreciate you. Our friends and acquaintances, you've been reaching out to us and letting us know how you feel about the show. We are definitely taking those critiques in, and we're enjoying the support as well. So thank you so much. For Ricardo Segura, I am Anderson Marchak. Thank you for coming to the panel.